Hello and welcome to Socially Served. As you can see, we're still operating remotely in this remote world of ours, but I want to thank you for joining us on Socially Served. And as you know, Socially Served is for you, the consumer, to make informed decisions. Today's guest is Trish from Changing Paces, and she's going to be talking about making employment accessible. Wonderful person. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this important message.
Would you like to donate to our employment programs? Please follow the link below to donate through PayPal. All proceeds go to our programs.
Hi, my name is Julia Romaldi. Please come join us on the Disability channel. Please stay tuned, we have amazing guests.
Welcome back to Socially Served, and Trish, I'd like to welcome you to our remote show. It's a pleasure having you. We've also corresponded quite a bit during the pandemic, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about your business and what you actually provide in terms of services for some of our viewers. So maybe we can talk a little bit about Changing Paces, and it's an appropriate kind of name because we've been changing and evolving with this whole pandemic, and it's been really challenging, and especially for employment and for employers, making employment accessible. And you're kind of a great advocate for accessibility. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your services, and maybe you can tell us about that.
Sure. Well, first of all, pleasure to be here, Frank. I thank you so much for inviting me to be on this show. I always capture and embrace any opportunity to spread the word about advocacy and for advocating for the needs of people with disabilities. In terms of my services, actually, they're quite broad. First of all, I work with people with disabilities. Mostly I work with entrepreneurs with disabilities. I help them to build a stable income that they can rely on and keeps them afloat when their health is rocking the boat. But I also work with businesses, helping them to actually boost profitability. Studies have shown by up to 30%. Can you believe that number? It's amazing, actually. I have take great pleasure in teaching entrepreneurs and business owners how to make their businesses accessible to that 20 to 25% of our population who has a disability. It's quite a large number, actually. In fact, I like to tell business owners that if you're not serving people with disabilities, you may as well stand at the door, assuming we were in face-to-face business again. But you may as well stand at the door of your establishment and turn every fifth or fourth customer away, because that's who you're shutting out.
Yeah, a lot of businesses don't realize that there's a huge amount of revenue that is out there for individuals with disabilities. And as you know, as even our population, as it grows older, as we grow older, we're going to encompass different types of disability barriers that we will come up with ourselves. And then you're looking at individuals who, are caregivers or are people who've acquired a disability. All of a sudden, their life changes. And so this is individuals with spending power. And so it's very important for businesses to become very accessible. And I know it's interesting, you've also created an accessible customer service program. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I have actually, it started in 2007 because the first deadline under the AODA, the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, the disability for those that don't know, the disability legislation in Ontario, January 1st, 2008 was the first deadline. And the first compliance requirement was for organizations, public sector organizations, to train their staff on providing customer service to people with disabilities. So that was the deadline that I developed my training for.
No, and that's really important because just that was the first initiative, I guess, with the province, with
Exactly.
AODA, which is important
Yeah.
because how do we serve individuals with disabilities? And you're talking about situations where you may not have a ramp that goes and enters into your shop. Or what about persons with seeing eye dogs? What is your policy on those types of things? So it's a whole different way of looking, a dynamic of looking how to serve persons with disabilities, and again, getting them into your shop. That's really important. And there's a lot of important work that you're doing and groundbreaking in that. And I know that you're also busy with website accessibility. And
I am. I am.
so can you tell us a little bit about that?
I actually I took on a team member, an amazing lady, about a year ago, and she actually I scooped her up from the city of Ottawa. She is an amazing website accessibility expert, and I also have a tool that I haven't really released yet. That I'm going to leave for a little bit of intrigue for you.
Okay.
Um, the final and the third piece and the third piece that I want to share with you is that with your viewers is that I have a huge passion for the accessibility of the travel experience. Okay. And I actually watched a previous show of yours where you interviewed somebody on that same topic. I think it was in 2018.
Oh, you have a good memory.
Yeah, well, I just watched it this morning, so there we go.
Those are
Yeah,
old shows.
yeah. But yeah,
But thank you.
I was grateful to be involved with Sunwing Airlines in 2019, and
Mhm.
I helped them to develop an accessible customer service training program for their staff on how to provide accessible customer service to travelers with a disability. And that was really widely received across at Sunwing. Also have a background training program that I developed, delivering that municipalities across the province. But I also trained staff at Toronto Pearson Airport. And a result of my involvement in several airport projects, I have now been recruited by the Airport Council International. I am now in the process of beginning a project to develop a training program for airports across the globe on
Wow,
how to provide services to travelers with disabilities.
that is
I'm
excellent.
really proud of that. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a
Yeah.
real big milestone. And
Yeah.
as the nation type kind of opens up, things start to evolve, opening, people are starting to travel. This is much needed because
Yes.
again, right? It's again
Yeah.
people, individuals that have challenges that often you just even not only inside the aircraft, also with navigating through the airport itself and
Exactly.
understanding that.
Yeah, exactly. The Sunwing, I helped to teach Sunwing airline staff on how to do airport as well as airline in the air accommodations. But this current project is specifically for airports across the globe, and that's like any any airport. Yeah, that will have access to this training. And I'm really excited about that because as travel opens up again, as commerce opens up again, I want businesses to know that people with disabilities are the largest minority consumer on the planet. Okay? Because of baby boomers, we are going to be a larger and larger
Yep.
population because right now the eldest of the baby boomers are just starting to experience disability, and the youngest of the baby boomers over the next 20 years are going to acquire disability. So it stands to reason, and baby boomers are the sector of our population, global population, that has the most expendable income.
That's right.
So it stands to reason that when travel opens up, people with disabilities will be a larger than expected section, a piece of that business.
So did the airline industry come to you about like sort of forming like an advisory committee, or like knowing that when things do open up globally that there's going to be this huge need, and how do you accommodate that need, and those challenges that come with it? Is that kind of sort of what happened?
There's definitely some rationale there, definitely some motivation there. And it's also because, during the pandemic, a lot of companies, smart companies, have taken the time to invest in their infrastructure.
Right.
The companies that have taken the time to do that, they are going to hit the ground running when borders open again, when commerce is back to 100%. It's going to be those organizations, municipalities, governments, businesses, small businesses, entrepreneurs, right from top to bottom. For those of us who have invested in education, training, uh, refurbishing of, redevelopment,
Retrofitting.
regrowing, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All of those activities, they will be the saviors, and they'll be the ones. They'll be the activities that will have saved businesses.
Yeah. Well, they're the ones who'll be aligned and ready to deal with this new type of environment that we're dealing with.
Precisely.
Right? And it is business.
And if they're accessible, all the better.
Excellent. So you know what? We're going to take a little bit of a commercial break, and we come back. We're going to talk a little bit more with Trish. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message.
All about inclusion and really giving everyone a fair say.
Welcome to the Today Show. This is our flagship show. I am Unstoppable Tracy.
I am Zach Damon.
It is a pleasure to be here. I am excited. What is up?
We have a great show today.
Jay Stoyan here for the Disability Channel, the world's only inclusive channel for and by persons with disabilities.
Get ready to be inspired, everyone.
We have people watching from all over the world, but also all over Ontario.
We also take a concerted attention in the veterans community.
In moments of stress and trauma, we can get a hold of ourselves.
To help make a difference for people with disabilities, to show people how to love themselves or their disability.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me, giving this platform for myself and other people with disabilities.
Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this episode of the Disability Channel of Detroit. Please tune in next time.
Welcome back to Socially Served. I'm your host, Frank Sroka. And again, Socially Served is for you, the consumer, so you can make informed decisions. And we're here with Trish from Changing Paces. And we're just talking about accessibility and how important it is in today's industry. And when things do open up, how more important it's going to be for commerce and for business to thrive. Mm-hmm. And Trish, you've been involved in advocacy for persons with disabilities and accessibility. We talked about website accessibility. Customer service is one of the directives, I guess, with the AODA. And it was something interesting you mentioned to me earlier on, that you were actually coaching with entrepreneurs who I guess have a disability barrier, and in assisting them to work and improve their businesses. And coaching is I believe coaching and mentoring is a really important part of assisting individuals to transition in their workplace, to make better decisions, to be more profitable. So it's a really important piece. And, you mentioned that, and I love this saying, and I looked at this on your website. So it's like, inclusion is an opportunity, not an obstacle. Mm-hmm. That is awesome. I love that terminology. So maybe we can expand on that in terms of business sense. How does that work?
I think that back in, the 70s and the 60s and the 80s, it made business sense to provide a cookie cutter product, because that was when we learned about, making lots of things rapidly, these assembly line type technology. Okay. But things are different now. People are realizing that the sameness of expecting life to be the same and people to be the same and experiences to be the same is not efficient. It's not attractive. It's not sustainable. The truth of the matter is, sustainability is in variety. It's in adaptability. Sustainability is in the ability for people to respond to different situations in different ways, because it's those different ways that they respond that we can harness to make things work for everyone, like in a universal way, by learning from those multiple experiences from different backgrounds and situations. So accessibility is, it's just like embracing every culture in our country. It's about embracing every sexual choice and every preference. It's about every faith. It's about embracing every difference of opinion, because there's value in every difference. In fact, it's the differences that make us Canadian, right? We don't live in a tiny little country where everyone is the same race and everyone is the same religion. We live in a vast country. It's the differences. And people with disabilities, I think that we are at a place in our human rights growth, in our journey with human rights. I think we're at a place where we stand with a much larger voice than we did 20 years ago.
No, definitely. And I think, we talk about inclusive workspaces or being inclusive, and that's sort of like a buzz term that companies use. But do they really understand the value of that, of having it being an inclusive workplace, understanding how to go about doing that? How do you accommodate a new employee coming in? How do you work with that individual? How do they disclose a disability? Those are really tough things to understand. And I think where the big part of that is education, and what you're probably trying to do with a lot of organizations, and very passionately, I must say, is to educate. Education and communication is the key. And understanding how to accommodate, or understanding what is an inclusive workplace anyway. What does that look like?
Right.
How do we grow that? How do we get all our employees to buy into that and understand it? How do we work with that? So it's all that part of coaching and understanding, and as you're saying, embracing that. This is a huge. It's interesting, a lot of individuals and organizations. Sometimes I feel that they just don't understand the needs of the disabled, or they don't recognize it. They just don't recognize it's a huge group of individuals, and
Absolutely.
And it can happen to anybody. As we get older, or you walk across the street and your life changes.
Yeah. In a split second.
Yeah. So this is really important. So a lot of work you're doing with advocacy, working with companies and organizations, educating on the topic of inclusion is really important. And we try to do that here with the channel as well. All our programming, today when we're trying to get everything online, and that's the norm now, all our producers, all our writers, all our, the owner of the channel has a disability. But I always don't like that term disability. I like the word ability, because it is ability. So this is all part of it, right? Things are changing rapidly, and now everyone, through our programs and services that I work through with ODSP or Ontario Works or Persons with Disabilities, I'm finding that everyone that is hired and that we transition to be employed, we're all working remotely. All of us are working remotely, and that's something we have to learn how to do. And how do you accommodate that with people working remotely? But you're right, it's going to change, and it's going to change in a big way. And those that aren't ready for it are going to be left behind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The fun thing.
The fun thing. Okay,
Okay,
I want to hear that. I want to hear the fun thing now. We're too serious.
The fun thing about the
Okay.
pandemic, and I started kind of say fun, kind of tongue in cheek there,
Right.
is that the need for everybody to jump online has validated a chorus that people with disabilities have been singing for 2 decades, that work from home is not only possible, it makes life more efficient, it makes people more productive, it makes people happier. And I am just thrilled. That the whole rest of the world has now discovered the benefit of work from home practices. Thrilled, just thrilled.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a person with a disability and you've been a professional with disability, trying to work trying to maintain a place in the workforce for the last 20 years, work from home arrangements were something thought of as difficult. I'm going to use the word undue hardship was often brought up. Okay. And the saddest part is we found out that it could be done in 7 days. It's just so amazing. But the truth of all that, the lesson to learn from that is that the needs of people with disabilities are nowhere near as difficult to address as the average person thinks. Okay. Accommodations, the vast amount of accommodations in the workforce, like 70% are under $500. I think 30% are free. Okay. And it's only like the smidgen of 5% that sometimes involves technology that can be quite large. But in large companies, there can be shared pooled resources for assistive technology and other accommodations. There are large companies form employee resource groups to help collaborate on best practices and what's working over here and how we could tweak it to somehow work in this other situation. Shared knowledge about what works and what doesn't. There's just so many opportunities for growth of knowledge and adapting policies in minor ways to accommodate people in huge ways.
You're so right. And sometimes it's just being innovative. And, I remember having one of my clients placed at a large financial institution in programming. The person was excellent, doing an excellent job. And, they were working in these cubicles, and the person had a hearing disability, so they couldn't hear, but they were fabulous at programming. And the issue that was coming up was that everyone was kind of not sure how to address and get this person's attention because his back was to everybody. Everyone's in that cubicle kind of thing. And so they're saying, well, we didn't want to go up to him and then alert, he'd startle him and everything. So I said, all you got to do is just put like a little mirror on his desktop, and you can see what's going on behind him. And you're going, you're kidding. They did that, and ta-da!
Exactly.
Problem solved, right? I like to share that one. It's just
Frank, that is a perfect example. It's such a perfect example, of how accommodations can be really minor in nature, in terms of their logistics or cost, right?
Right.
And it's okay. I'm gonna say, the fact that people without disabilities don't think about them, or the fact that people with disabilities don't recognize barriers, or the fact that people without disabilities sometimes even avoid people with disabilities. Okay. I truly believe that 99% of discrimination is fear.
Yes.
And it's fear. It's not fear of the person with a disability. It's fear to offend. And this is why somebody might not greet somebody with a disability, with an obvious disability, because they're not sure how to address that person. They're not sure what to say or what not to say, or they're uncomfortable, so they avoid the situation.
Exactly.
And that is why there are 2 words that I teach. Okay, these are the foundation of all my training programs, whether they be virtual or not. There's 2 3-letter words. Okay, and I'll hold them close together here so I can get on camera. Okay. 2 3-letter words. The first one is can. Can I help you with something?
Mm-hmm.
The second word is how. How can I help? And so those are the tools, right? And the reason why they are 2 separate words is because how I need help might not look anything to do with what you think I need help. Right. There's a video that I've found. I think it was a PepsiCo video. I'll have to dig up to. I'm 99% sure it's a PepsiCo video, and it's humorous. And there's this woman who has a very staggered gait. Okay, she's walking like this with her cane, and she's struggling, and she gets to this glass door, a double door set of double doors, clear glass door, and she presses on the handrail to go through the door, and she built some momentum up to be able to open that door, right? Well, the woman on the other side noticed she was struggling and came and opened the door. Guess what happened? The little lady fell flat on her face.
Oh no, she opened it.
Yes.
Oh no.
Because, yes, okay. The bottom line is ask, can I help, before you ask how I can help, and always make it 2 questions. Because can I help? It conveys that I care what you think. It conveys that I want to help, but it also conveys that I'm giving you room. Permission. I'm asking permission, exactly, to help. And then how I can help gives me instructions. Yeah. Those 2 words, they're simple 3-letter words. And if everyone can remember can and how, because it isn't just about supporting people with disabilities. It's about supporting anyone. Exactly. It's asking, providing the respect to ask permission and then proceeding.
Okay, so can I go to a commercial right now? And we'll be right back.
Don't ask me how, though.
How do we do that? We'll be right back, so don't go anywhere.
Hello world, it is Unstoppable Tracy with the Disability Channel inviting you to subscribe and watch live on Roku TV, on YouTube, on Restream, and also listen in Wisconsin Radio, Dave Stevens, all around the world. And on top of all of this, really proud to announce that we now also have a mobile app. So you can download for free, watch Roku TV for free, and the mobile app is free too from Google Drive. Be sure to download it and have it at your fingertips at all times. There's a job platform, and there's a live chat feature, and there's the TV feature with Roku TV, and there's also the social media channels. Take care, folks. Bye for now.
For the episodes of Veterans Onward to Prosperity, I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired Anna Maria Bliven, bringing you every week information, resources, and sources that help tackle the issues and situations that occur when transitioning from military to civilian life.
Hi, we're back from Socially Served, and I'm your host, Frank Sroka. We've been speaking to Trish from Changing Paces. Trish, it's been just so wonderful to have you on our show and so informative for our viewers, and I really appreciate that. So how do our viewers get in touch with you?
Well, first off, if they want to reach me by email, they can do that at Trish@changingpaces. Paces as in steps, slowing down, changingpaces.com. All right. But if they're sure they want to have a chat with me, they can go to forprofitability.com. Forprofitability.com. And there they can book a session to have a profitability assessment session with me. And that would be for businesses who are interested in boosting their profit. Okay. But if you're a person with a disability and you want to talk to me about creating a better life for yourself, then you go to fortalkwithtrish.com.
Okay, excellent. So we'll put that up on the website underneath. And thank you so much for joining us on Socially Served. It's been a pleasure. I'd love to find that video you were talking about. Maybe we'll put that into the interview segment too. So we'll look at that later on. And thank you again for joining us on Socially Served. It's been a pleasure. And thank you, viewers, for joining us on Socially Served and making those informed decisions. So see you next week. Bye for now.